is it? Light in here, normal daylight? Or is it dark, like under the spooky robot box? These are all questions that only Sphero the robot can give us answers to. It's obvious that this robot here, the Sphero Bolt, has a light sensor, so we can always measure how much the light is in the room or maybe in some other place that we are interested in.
$210.3 lux. $671.03 lux.
Zero lux.
Zero lux.
$164.68 lux.
Wait a minute, I was
Okay, it's
anyway.
recording.
Zero lux. Oh no, I can't see.
Okay, zero lux.
It's too much light.
Perfect! Perfect! Just daylight.
159 lux. Is it light? Am I in heaven?
Okay. Next, the spooky robot box.
Oh no, I can't see.
Okay, perfect. And now, put it there.
It's too much light.
It's too much light. Okay, perfect. This is the task that the student had to do before he was able to do the program. So he had some conditions under which he had to measure how much the light is using the robot. So under normal daylight, how much lux? The robot said 3 times, so the robot made 3 measurements, and the student typed these measurements here. So then when we have the phone's flashlight at the robot, you can see that it shows much more lux than it did at normal daylight, so that's much stronger light. Then he had to place his hand on top of the robot and make a measurement again, but this measurement was not that good because depending on where your hand is, the robot can show that the light is as good as daylight, and if your hand is exactly on the sensor for light, then it can show that it's the light that it's measuring is close to none. So you can see that sometimes he measured 20, then he measured 12 lux, and then 152, which he substituted for 13, which was his 4th try, and still this was not such a good idea. And this is the measurement for when the robot is under the spooky robot box. So this is the box that I created especially for this task. It's just a plain box that we had here lying around. Nobody needed it, and I painted it black, added some spooky robot pictures, and we always use this box for this task. So the robot was measuring light, and then when we had all of these measurements ready, we were able to do the program. So we have to have a never-ending loop and a delay where, of course, the robot will be taking the measuring. If the robot is measuring lux that is normal for normal daylight, then it should just go straight, it should move. If it is under the flashlight of a smartphone, it should make heart animation, or as the student did in his program, just say like something like this is too much light. And then if the robot is under the box and it's measuring close to none light, so 0 lux or close to 0, then you should cry and say stuff like, oh no, help me, I'm under the shadows, I don't like darkness, and so on. So this is the program. This is the task, how I have explained the task for the student to do. Then he did the measurement here. He made the program. Let me show you the program. So this is a program that the student did. It's starting and measuring the light and speaking exactly how much the light is, so we know if this thing is true or not. And then if the light is very low and below 12 lux, then the robot should say, oh no, I can't see, and make a cry sound. Then if the lux is between something 80 and 500, then it's probably normal daylight, and it should say, is it light? Am I in heaven? And then we hear the chime sounds. And then if the light is bigger than 600 but still smaller than 3000, it should say it's too much light and do an explosion sound. That's when the smartphone's flashlight is exactly on the robot and it's measuring a lot of light. So this is the program. Let's see how it works.